My name's Dylan Bowling. I drive a 93 FD RX7. It's a base model, so it's cloth seats, no rear windshield wiper, no sunroof, single oil cooler, and it's just a regular stereo system. If you got the touring model, you got the Bose sound system, but in the trunk, you know, it takes up a lot of the space in the trunk, and it looks ugly. So, base model for life. To say that a Rotary isn't reliable is kind of, you know, a myth. They're just high maintenance. You know, oil, oil, oil. It's pretty much the big thing with those cars because they naturally burn oil, like kind of like a two-stroke. It's normally about every 80,000 miles you can expect to rebuild it, just mainly the apex seals. I like to consider it the equivalent of doing a timing belt on a piston engine. So, because we don't have timing belts, it's all concealed into the block, I guess you'd call it, the housings. First thing I did when I got the car, I removed all, they call it the rat's nest. The actual number I think is 75 vacuum lines. You know, they range from 1 or 2 inches to a couple feet. And, you know, they're sandwiched in between the block and the intake manifold. And it just contains all the heat. They crack over time, especially from being, you know, 20 years old. What do you expect? When I got the car, you know, I tore it apart. Switched it from sequential turbos to non-sequential. That got rid of a lot of the vacuum lines. The car's currently at 326 to the wheels, and you know, if I could get 100 more than that and grippy tires, I'll be happy for a while.
So I think it's safe to say that we're driving an icon right now, and I say that because while we were trying to shoot this review of us driving, we had a Ford Focus tailing us, and we thought they were just trying to go really fast down this road, but when we pulled off, they drove by at like 2 miles an hour and waved at us. And it's just because we're in an RX7. I mean, you can't look at it and not know that it's something special. The lines are completely unique to this car. It's absolutely a work of art. They just flow.
Yeah, there's nothing specific you can point out about it to say that's why this car is unique. It's the whole package. So there's no power steering in this car. He changed the steering rack out with a manual steering rack, so it's a little easier than it would be if you just took power steering out. But the steering wheel itself is smaller, and so it makes it really hard to turn. But it's almost better that way because I'm feeling every single bump in the road, and I'm feeling every single thing that the tire is doing. And it's enjoyable. I would almost prefer it without the power steering.
So you've got HSD coils. It's a European company. Pretty hard to get in the States. I love them. They're really nice, 16-way adjustable dampening, shock body adjust, so you don't have to put preload on the springs. I upgraded to a front mount intercooler, the Fluidyne rad, secondary injectors. I got 2 different sets of wheels on. The backs are stern face 2s, 18 by 10.5. The fronts have no specs for them. They're just universal tires, everything. Multi-lug wheels, just rollers pretty much, so it'll be fun driving it.
I feel so connected. Every tiny little increment that I move the steering wheel is significant. And every little bit that the steering wheel is moved by the road is significant because it's telling me something. Right. And the steering wheel is so small, my hands almost feel like they're touching. Actually, I can almost touch my thumbs if I just stick my thumbs out. Oh, there we go. Now I'm driving it right.
Yeah. Unnatural because it feels like you're hurting it.
You're not. These Wankel motors just want to go. They want to rev up.
They want to Wankel.
Yeah. So, for years, my attainable dream car, the car that I could buy realistically if I saved up for a year or so, was the FD RX7. They always say, don't meet your heroes, because they're never going to be as good as you imagine that they're going to be. But this car is absolutely everything I was hoping it was going to be, and then some.
Somebody who's getting an RX-7 or looking at buying an RX-7 should definitely buy one, no matter what. If you don't know much about the car, I suggest getting one that runs and drives good, that had a rebuilt motor. If you're pretty mechanically inclined, I would get a shell and do a fully built motor. You know, send it out to one of these Rotary specialists, have your motor built, and then go single turbo.
So if cars were a naturally occurring phenomenon, like trees, for example, they just grew out of the ground. You just walk around in the field and there's a car that grew up. It would be an RX-7. They would just sprout from the ground, because this car feels so organic. This car feels natural.
Yeah.
You just get in and you just drive.
Merry Christmas from the FD family.
All day, every day. All day.
Every day.